What's up, guys? How we doing? Chuck Silver and Jayhawk here with Occupy Fantasy to bring you the strategy for DraftKings and FanDuel. Today is Saturday, January 18th. We got the Chiefs and Houston playing right now. It's a pretty fun one. Terrible football game. Hopefully, the later one's better. We have a fun slate. We don't know what's going on with Boston yet. Hopefully, we'll know soon. We should before the end of the stream anyway. Jayhawk, how we doing?
Yes, doing good, man. Fun day today. We got UFC main card, NFL and NBA. Great time of the year. Excited to break down this NBA slate.
Yeah, I won a UFC ticket yesterday, so I got to play. If you guys are subscribers to OccupyFantasy.com, maybe you read Derek's plug. It's pretty good. Been doing pretty well just reading it. If you're not a member of the Occupy site yet, sign up. You can get plans for as little as $1 a day, and it's really important for days like yesterday when you got to see what happens after the slate for the model updates. In the Discord I was talking about yesterday might have been the biggest edge slate that I can remember in NBA DFS. Didn't pan out for us. But we did have a couple ships. I took down the smallest GPP there is, the Dime Time, with a lineup that would have won almost everything. So that was cool. Smitty took down a turbo or came second in a turbo. And we had a new member in the Discord do pretty well into a couple single entries. So that was cool to see. So join the Discord if you're not already in there. But yeah, Jayhawk, what's going on with Boston?
Yeah, so quickly to cover Boston, Horford and Kristaps are both questionable, and then Jason Tatum is also questionable. So we were kind of talking pre-stream. My lean here is I think Al Horford probably sits on a back-to-back, and then I think Kristaps probably more closer to a 50-50.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough one. I mean, I built my lineups as if they're in, but I'm prepared to take both of them out if I need to. Kristaps and Al Horford, anyway. Those are the two that I feel like they both sit.
Yeah, no, I agree.
So it's going to be tough to talk about this team until we get that news. And so let's actually hold off on this for a little bit and look at the other side of this game, Atlanta.
That's it.
Let me pull this team up here. Sorry, my computer's loading a little slow, but Trae Young should be in. DeAndre Hunter should be in. Jalen Johnson. Did you see an update on Jalen Johnson?
I think he's still questionable again. I need to look about shoot around because that's kind of a telltale sign.
Okay, well, we have him in the model right now. I mean, Trey has a pretty good OF index, 11.5, over 10K on DraftKings, 9,600 on FanDuel. Pulling no ownership, terrible matchup against Boston, but it's only a 9-point spread, so this isn't blowout territory. He's probably worth more than 3%. That's going to be a GPP play. And then a Kongwu at 4,800 on DraftKings. Even the 5,800 on FanDuel, he's pulling some ownership over there. He does have the power forward eligibility. Were you looking at anyone else here, assuming Jalen Johnson plays?
Yes, I don't hate that a Kongwu shout at his price, but Atlanta here with Jalen and Trey back, I don't love it. It's a tough spot here against Boston as well. I did want to hear your take here on Trey Young. Obviously playing I think in the Garden here. Yeah. So do you like him at his ownership?
At the 3%, yeah, I want to be over it. And looks like these guys are all in. Jalen Johnson, DeAndre Hunter, Trey Young. I mean, this isn't a play that we're going way over the field, but if I end up with like 10%, I think I'll be pretty happy with that. Just a guy that we want to mix in. Trey Young.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same with it.
Not getting too much else from this team, though.
Yeah, it's a tough spot here overall for Atlanta.
Let's take a look at the other game that starts right at lock, Philadelphia, Indiana. Let's start with Philadelphia. So Joel Embiid's still out. He's going to be out for a bit. No Caleb Martin. No Kyle Lowry. Matters a little bit, but Yabusele's questionable. Paul George is questionable. Did you see updates on either of them?
No, but it's definitely interesting because obviously if Yabu sits, it might be Adam Bona time. So we'll have to kind of monitor that.
Yeah, this is another interesting one. We got an update 17 minutes ago that they're both game time decisions. So again, we should get that news before the end of the show. But either way, Tyrese Maxey is going to look pretty good OF index. I know I've been talking about we don't love Tyrese Maxey with him beat out because the efficiency tanks, even if he takes 30 shots. Well, apparently it doesn't matter because he takes 30 shots. His price is up, though, 95, 9,400. Still pulling ownership on both sides, projected for 40 minutes. How high are you on Tyrese Maxey today?
Yeah, man, I like him here. It's a good spot. And I think if Paul George sits here, obviously he's going to look even better. So I think he's fine at his ownership, but definitely would like him better assuming if George sits here.
And then if George sits, going to be pretty interested in Kelly Oubre over on DraftKings at 5,800, on FanDuel 6,800. He's going to look a little bit better, but I'm not sure what his ownership's going to be. He's an okay, like deep shot GPP play, not someone I'm prioritizing at all. The guy that really stands out for value here, though, Eric Gordon, 16.7 DK value at almost the mid price, pulling 3% ownership. Obviously, he's going to look better if Paul George is out too. And his ownership probably goes up without Paul George, but even with Paul George in, the model's identifying him as one of the top values of the day. So I think we should take a look at him. Again, this isn't the type of play that you jam in, but I would want to be over the field if I'm making more than a few lineups.
Yeah, I love that shot, and it's a good matchup for him as well. So,
and then I wanted to see, what did the model say about Justin Edwards? Model's not identifying Justin Edwards as a good play even at 25 minutes. So he's 3,300 at 4%. Eric Gordon is just, he ranks out so much better. So if you need that really cheap value, hopefully you shooting guard versus small forward position, whatever. But model's telling us that Eric Gordon's the better punt.
Yep, agreed.
Make sure I don't have anything in here. Siakam should have a banger. Yeah, Siakam's been kind of extremely consistent the last few games. Put up a ceiling last time. They're on the other side of this Philadelphia game. The line's at -9.5 right now for Indiana, which I actually am not sure if that means Vegas thinks Paul George is sitting. I would think it means he's sitting though, right? Because Paul George is not dust.
Yeah, I think so too. And Philly should be able to keep it competitive even if George sits. So it's kind of interesting for sure.
Yeah, and a 226.5. It's not the worst total. On the Indiana side, though, we do have pretty strong OF index from Miles Turner. I've been the model's been identifying him as a strong tournament play at lowish ownership. He's pulling a little bit more ownership today, but the price on DraftKings 6K is still really good. And then, yeah, Siakam 7,500 at only 15%. I think this is a guy we want to get over the field on as well.
Yeah, I love that Turner shout. Kind of similar to the last matchup with Philly. I think it was Cleveland. I think played him. Jarrett Allen, on paper should have nuked. It's just, do we think he's gonna, close and play a lot of minutes with potentially Philly being smaller at the 5? But I think he looks great here in tournaments if he does play the minutes. So love that shout. And then Siakam here once again, probably still too cheap. So love both those calls there.
Tyrese Halliburton does have a pretty okay OF index, 8,300 on DraftKings. I don't mind getting to. Ownership seems fine, so this is a play that I don't hate today either. Anything else from Indiana? Andrew Nembhard is pretty interesting at 5,500, I think.
Yeah, I think he's in play. But after those guys you mentioned, I'm not really loving anyone else here from Indiana.
I have 2% of Obi Toppin. He's projected for 6% ownership on DraftKings. He's 3,600 power forward eligible. I think he's a okay play to mix into your exposures. And that's about what I'm getting here. I mean, I have 4% of Benedict Mathurin. I don't know if I'll end up keeping that by the time this game starts, though.
Yeah. I like someone mentioned Obi Toppin in the chat. They could go small and close with him potentially. I feel like they probably do, but again, that's kind of just speculation.
To me, he feels like a value punt, high risk value punt who could have a ceiling. I mean, no one's playing him. That's why he's a high risk play, but we don't need much. It's only a 5 gamer.
Yeah, I just wanted to throw him out there. I don't know if I'm going to get a ton, but.
One second. Washington, Golden State. We have a pretty decent spread here, 13.5. 229.5 total. Not the greatest. I guess none of these totals are super strong today anyway, though, except for Atlanta, Boston. No one with a double-digit OF index. No one really stands out on DK value. No one stands out on FD value. They are pulling some ownership on FanDuel, though. What do you think about Washington?
Yeah, so I think Washington here, you mentioned it, probably better FanDuel plays at their respective prices. We can start with Cool Ball. I think he's fine on both sides. Spread here is, 14 points. I think these guys should still be fine. I think he's fine. I do slightly prefer Poole, though, I think. Poole or Kuzma. I just think most likely those guys are going to be the ones keeping them in the game here. But what's your kind of take here with Washington?
I don't mind it. The ownership seemed pretty good to take tournament shots. I I don't know. This possible pool revenge spot versus Golden State's kind of interesting. I mean, we're not really adjusting anything for that. It just got to mention it, right? Draymond's probable. You know he's going to try to play tonight.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I don't know if on DraftKings I'm not getting too much of these guys. I don't know. I don't think anyone stands out. Like I'm getting percents here and there. I did manually bump Jordan Poole to try to get a little bit more. Still couldn't get that much. FanDuel, I don't know. These seem pretty reasonable. I'm not gonna say to just fade anyone here.
Yeah, I agree. I think Poole would probably be my favorite,
Yeah.
just because I think he's a good run back with like Steph or something.
And then Kuzma at his price, it's just the problem is that he's so passive now. He wants to pass, but his teammates can't make shots. And it's like, Kuz, you got to take 20 shots a game on this team, man. Only projected for 29.9 minutes. I mean, at this ownership and price, we should be jumping on Kuzma, but it's pretty tough right now. So I do think he's still slightly under-owned. We know what he was capable of before. It's not like that went away. So don't mind getting a little over on Kuzma if you want to give him a little bump.
Yeah, I like that shot.
Let's see. It's going to be a pool party tonight. It might be.
Let's do it, man.
Other side of this game, though, Golden State. I mentioned Draymond's probable. We're just going to talk about this as if he plays. Steph with a strong OF index. Andrew Wiggins, 10.1 OF index. This is the highest that he's been in years, right? Since he was on Minnesota. 5,800 and 6,400. He is pulling pretty heavy ownership, but the model's probably telling us Andrew Wiggins might be the top play of the whole day.
Yeah, love Andrew Wiggins here. Just a great matchup for him and good prices, especially on DraftKings. 5,800. I think he makes for an awesome low risk play here. And then Steph Curry, I love as well. Kind of wanted to hear your take on him because I think he's still great. But if this game were to get out of hand, there could be other spend ups that could potentially outscore him. So what's your kind of take here with Steph and the rest of the team?
Well, there's really only three like big pay ups at point guard today, right? On DraftKings anyway. Tyrese Maxey, Steph Curry, and Trae Young.
Yeah.
I'm getting the most of Steph, getting a bunch of Maxey. It's just, the total in that Atlanta game is tough, but I think what I'm trying to say from this is that a lot of the field is going to do that too, pay up for Tyrese and Steph, not pay as much for Trae. And so I like Steph. I'm getting to him a lot. But like I mentioned earlier, I think you want to pivot in Trae Young a little bit more, just find that salary to get that leverage for his ownership is just so low.
Yeah.
Because you can fit them both in the same lineup too. Steph and Trae, Steph and Tyrese, Trae and Tyrese, whatever you want to do. But Steph at 33% versus Trae Young at 3%. I know there's a salary difference, but that's a little bit too wide of a gap.
Yeah, I agree too, especially if Golden State gets up pretty quickly.
I'm over the field on these top three guys here. I have more than 33% Steph, which I'm pretty sure is going to stay. Andrew Wiggins, I have more than 43%. Not much, but I am over. And then Trace Jackson Davis, I'm slightly over this 24%. Not really getting Draymond, though, projected for a 21 and 30% ownership. I mean, he's a fine play. And so I don't blame the field for getting there, projected for only 28 minutes. If you give him a couple more, he's going to look even better.
Yeah, I like the TJD call. I'm not really getting to Draymond either. I think he's fine, but I do prefer TJD. And then I want to hear your take on Dennis Schroeder here. 41 projected ownership here on FanDuel. What's your take there?
Let me see what I have Dennis Schroeder for. It's hard to get away from, but like I just said, this is kind of a slate where we have three big pay up point guards. If I don't know, if two of them go off for like 40 plus and no other point guards on the slate score 40 plus, then there's a pretty good chance that you're going to want those guys, particularly in like cash games and smaller fields. I think that's a pretty strong strategy. And it's not like this is a shorter slate. We just don't have that many guys to pay up at point guard. So I don't like the 41% on Dennis Schroeder.
That was kind of my line too. It seemed pretty high to me.
Yeah, just we have some value plays at the other positions. I don't think we have to pay down for him, and he's just been so bad on Golden State. So it's not a spot that I'm looking to get to. And model's telling us we can avoid it. So this is a model approved fade. Even looking at FanDuel value, Dennis Schroeder's fifth on his own team. Granted, the other four guys are all pulling heavy ownership too, but I think we can get to the other four guys on FanDuel and just be under the field on Dennis Schroeder. I'm not saying play 0%, but if you have like 20%, half the field, that's pretty strong leverage, or even less.
Yeah, couldn't have put it any better there. Definitely under on Schroeder.
The starting five, no, I don't. I used to play tiers here and there, but I haven't dove into starting five at all. Have you looked at it, Jayhawk?
No, I have not.
It's interesting though. It's interesting. I see a lot of big chops, but if you can find like some high risk leverage, play the low owned guys, just go for that solo win. I think that's the way to do it. Any love for Sar tonight? Yeah, I guess I didn't mention it. He was a guy that I was getting a little bit more than I was expecting to. He's a fine like tournament play if he's your last guy in, especially.
Yeah, I don't hate it.
Give me 1 second, Jayhawk.
You're good.
All right, Cleveland. I'm seeing some talk about Jarrett Allen in the chat. We do have Mobley as questionable. Isaac Okoro is questionable. I'll see if we have an update on that. But yeah, it's a pretty interesting one with Mobley questionable. Jarrett Allen would look awesome if Mobley ended up sitting.
Yeah, I agree. How do you feel about the matchup though against Minnesota here? I think he'd still look great. But are you worried at all about the matchup?
I don't care. No,
Yeah.
It doesn't matter at all. It's just like I don't look at defense first position, so I don't even know if Minnesota's like a top team at not giving up fantasy points to big men. But Rudy Gobert is just not that same player. So even if Mobley's in at 6%, I wouldn't mind getting over the field on him. And Jarrett Allen, like 6,600. How are we still letting this guy be at 6,600?
Yeah.
At 16% ownership. I mean, we got to take advantage of this, I think.
Yeah, especially Mobley says that price point is just way, way, way too cheap.
Yeah, and it's like I'm not saying I want to jam him. I know, like I've been calling out Jarrett Allen as an awesome tournament play, and I don't feel as good about him today as I did on those other days. But I still think he's a guy that we can get a little bit over the field on.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it there.
So we did just get nice, just like we predicted. Jason Tatum's in, Kristaps and Al Horford are ruled out. So we'll give the model a few minutes to crunch that. That's going to be a pretty important point in this slate, I think.
Oh, for sure.
At the top end, I actually am getting pretty decent exposure to Darius Garland, and then looks like I'm with the field on Donovan. He just hasn't shown me that ceiling that I usually play Donovan for. But what do you think about the guards?
Yeah, I think both Garland and Mitchell, both are fine here. I probably lean Mitchell just because I think this game probably is pretty close, and I think Mitchell obviously, when he gets the minutes, he's really good. So I slightly lean Mitchell, but I don't think Garland's like a crazy shot.
I have 22% Garland on DraftKings right now, projected for 19. So I'm basically with the field, which is I feel pretty comfortable there. I mentioned we probably want to pay up at point guard a little bit more. I guess Garland's kind of just in that tier below the other pay ups. He's still not cheap, 7,300 on both sides, basically. I'm looking at Dean Wade as the top value on this team over on DraftKings, projected for 4 and 6% ownership over on FanDuel. This is the type of player I think we should be interested in mixing in on most days, assuming he's coming in with this low ownership and he's starting.
Yeah, I don't hate him. I'm not typically the biggest Dean Wade fan for DFS, but he's cheap and the model likes him. So definitely something to note there.
I have about 7% on DraftKings right now. And, if I end up around there, I'll be pretty happy with that. Just be a little bit over the field, or at least just have that 4%. He's 3,500. So Max Strus, Karis LeVert showing up with a decent value score. Are you getting to anyone else on this team?
Max Strus at 3,900. He's been tough to nail down here. Maybe I could get to a sprinkle of him. Do you have kind of a strong take on Strus here?
No. Type of play. If he shows up a couple percent, I'm not going to change it or take it out. And if he shows up 0, I'm not going to force him in. Pretty neutral on him.
Gotcha. Okay, cool.
Corner. Give me 1 second, guys. Yeah, Cornet's we're gonna have to take a look at him in a few minutes.
Yeah, do you think they'll start Cornet or Keita? Probably Cornet, right?
I'm assuming Cornet, but I don't really want to guess with Missoula. That guy's weird.
He is.
Other side of this game, Minnesota. Mike Conley was just kind of underowned, honestly, for how cheap he was on the other day. I don't know if that was yesterday or the day before, but he's still mega cheap, 3,400. Dante DiVincenzo is already ruled out. And this is the thing I mentioned last time. People didn't want to play Conley when he was like 4,400, 4,700, whatever. But he got benched. He's starting again, and he's like $1,000 cheaper than he was last time we were paying for him. We still only have him projected for 25 and a half minutes, but I think this is a really strong play at only 20% ownership. Again, I mentioned we probably want to pay up at point guard on FanDuel, so not as excited about him there. The field is on the same page there. He's only projected for 12%, but on DK at 20%, 3,400. The model's identifying him as, is he the top value of the day? He's the number one value on DraftKings. So I think we want to play more than 20% of Mike Conley.
Yeah, absolutely love that call there. He came in really underowned last slate or yesterday, and once again here he should play decent minutes. Typically, I'm not a huge Conley fan, but with DiVincenzo out here, I love that shot. I'm gonna have a good chunk of Conley here tonight.
And then I cannot believe that they lowered Rudy Gobert's price even more, dude. 5,200 on DraftKings. At least people are playing him today, projected for 29% ownership. I will say the model's identifying him as a strong value, 16.6 on DK. He's a fourth overall value today, whether or not you count Eric Gordon as a real value. But the thing is, I feel like it should still be higher for a 5,200 price tag, right? Like the OF index, 8.6 at 5,200 is, one of the highest that you're going to see all season. But I don't know. The value still seems a little bit low, but either way, he's still one of the stronger value plays on the day, I think.
Yeah, man, I don't understand why they keep taking down his price here. They're going to need his size out there against Cleveland here, so I think he looks awesome alongside Conley here for Minnesota.
Played 34 and a half minutes yesterday. We have projected for 33.2. It's like at this 33-minute projection, I feel like we should be getting more. I have more than this 29% right now. Not much, but do have just slightly over that. And then Naz Reid had a pretty strong game yesterday. He's projected for 26 minutes, pulling heavy ownership as he always does after he has a big game. What are you thinking there?
Yeah, I think he looks good once again. It's kind of a little bit of a worse spot for him in terms of shooting, but still a great play per his price. So like him in tournaments, but I hate playing Nas when he's more chalky. It's kind of a hunch of mine. If he's going to be super chalk, maybe I might want to be underweight. It's kind of wait and see there.
It's just this minutes projection. It's too high. I don't think we can project him for 25.8. I mean, yesterday's game was yesterday's game, but he played 24.7. And so I think if the industry is projecting him for this many minutes, you can take away like maybe a minute and a half and just get a little bit less, and that'll be more appropriate because he didn't close yesterday. Like the coach, I mean, the whole team seems like they hate Julius Randle lately, but he still closed over Naz Reid yesterday. Naz Reid checked in halfway through the first quarter, played the rest of the first half, but he only got like a 6-minute stint in the second half, so it's pretty concerning. He did get there in short minutes, but I think the minutes projection is a little bit too high, and it's probably going to end up with you getting a little bit too much Naz Reid.
Yeah, I agree. I'm just kind of a little bit hesitant for sure.
He's still a fine play, but again, he's a little bit lower in value. So at 4,800, even though he has a power forward eligibility, if you want to get below the 28%, that's model approved. And then Anthony Edwards, man, terrible value score. Decent OF index at 11.4, but points per dollar model is not into it. He's 9,300, 9,200, 20% ownership. I am just under that, and so I still think he's fine. Not someone that I want to target today, though, against Cleveland.
Yeah, I think Ian is fine, but you kind of briefly touched on it. It's kind of hard to get to him over guys like, Curry, Maxey, even Trae Young. So he's fine, but I don't love the spot here for Ian.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like he's just a guy there. He has been super aggressive lately. He had another big dunk yesterday, and so we like to see him driving a little bit more because he just wanted to shoot threes this year, and driving opens up your ability to take open threes, so keep doing it, Ant.
I agree.
Julius Randle, just terrible. Completely destroyed me yesterday, dude. All I needed was 35 fantasy points from him, and what did he put up, like 12, 17? Like I said, he did close, but this is another model approved fade, Julius Randle.
Yep. Tough matchup here in the interior against Cleveland.
Let's take a look at this last game, and then we'll jump back to the those injury spots. Houston, pretty interesting one today. Amon Thompson has led the NBA in minutes, I think, like maybe in 2025, something like that. It's questionable. Jabari Smith is still out. I mean, Amon Thompson, is he the best player on this team?
Yeah, I think if he plays here, he's just been, obviously a great player for Houston here. I love him if he plays in tournaments. If he doesn't play though, who are you kind of looking at here from Houston?
You're supposed to say Alperen Sengun is best player on this team, but Amon's pretty close.
Yeah, I got.
Um,
Yeah,
Jalen Green every single day. I don't understand. At least the price is up. His ownership is probably where it's supposed to be. Model's not super identifying him as a top value today, given the price increase, but still 10.6 OF index. I think we can take tournament shots. He's just been on a super roll lately. He's been one of the hottest players in the NBA.
he's been good for sure.
Like this is a run. Like this is reminds me of a Kobe White breaking out last year. This one seems to be a little bit more powerful though.
Yeah, he's been shooting good. I feel like he kind of locked on the shooting worse earlier on in the season.
Even at this price and ownership, I still like it. Not trying to get way over the field or anything, but if I end up with like 15%, I think that'll be okay. I don't quite have 15% right now. Projected for 34 minutes. It's, again, this might even be a minute too high. So if Amon Thompson's in, then I'll keep that. But if Amon Thompson, or I should say, if Amon Thompson's out, then this seems fine. But if Amon Thompson ends up playing, I might take away a minute from Jalen Green. How much exposure were you getting to Sengun?
I wasn't getting too much, but I will note, it's another center that is firmly in play here, and it's a good matchup against Aiden. So I think I'm probably will try to be around the field here, but yeah, I think he's fine. Kind of wanted to hear your take on him because I didn't really know what to do with him.
He's probably appropriately priced. Ownership, I don't know. My gut tells me it's slightly light. Like he should probably be a little bit higher owned. I mean, he's the second play on the model. I wasn't even sure if he was a top center. Yeah, he's a top center by a mile. So Sengun, 13 and 14%. This is probably a player that we want to prioritize getting over the field on.
Yeah, especially if Eamon misses too, just even more shots to go up for Sengun.
Yeah, we got I mean, Tari Eason projected for 22.6 minutes, dude. Has this guy what's his deal?
I don't know, man.
So he played 2 days ago. He played 24 minutes in his first game back, which is bizarre since they can't seem to keep him on the court. Take it easy when you're bringing him back. But the 22.6 minute projection could be correct. And if Amon Thompson misses, then he's going to look even better. 3 and 10%. The price is unappealing, but we know the ceiling Tari has. So I think this is a player we also want to try to get over the field on, at least on DraftKings. The 3% is not hard to get over.
Yeah, I love that ownership for him, especially if Amon sits. And then one more thing, I wanted to ask you about Cam Whitmore, Dylan Brooks. Were you planning on getting to either one of those guys?
Dylan Brooks, what's his ownership? 3%. Okay, so I have 2%. I was going to see if he was projected for 1%. I would say it was over the field, but I don't hate it. I talk about it all the time. Dylan Brooks is a player I want to mix in. The thing is, Portland doesn't have a star that they need him on the court for. It's not like they're going to not play him just because Portland doesn't have a star player. But with Cam Whitmore, I'd be more interested in playing Cam Whitmore at 4K, more so if Amon Thompson sits, because it seems like everyone's down on Fred VanVleet right now. But the 7,200 price on FanDuel, if you're not paying up for one of the top 3 point guards, seems pretty good at 17% ownership.
Yeah, I don't hate that call. Better on FanDuel, I agree that ownership.
Anything else on Houston?
No, I think I'm probably gonna get to Whitmore here if Thompson sits.
Nice. Let's see here. So free games in the NFL playoffs on DraftKings, guys. Go take advantage of free contests for sure. Rather play Minnow over Dennis. Is that Dennis Schroeder? If you're paying down. Yeah, I feel like you don't have to play Dennis Schroeder at all. Need Avdia back. Avdia, man, he finally was the best player on Portland, like Chauncey Billups was bragging about. So yeah, I hope he comes back soon. He stopped playing Randall 4 days ago. So funny. Julius no handles. I mean, he's not anything right now. He just wants to shoot threes.
Needed the daily power pun right there. That was huge.
Ant telling Julius he hoops like he's wearing jeans. I don't even know if I heard that one. It's so good. Um, Damn, bro. Texans missed the extra point that would have tied the game. Who scored the touchdown?
I think Mixon.
Dude, Mixon is 5% owned on the DraftKings main slate. What are you guys doing? Um, Came in way under projected, way under what he was projected for. Dude, let's go. Portland. Yeah, go ahead, Jayhawk. Tell me about Portland.
Yeah, so Portland here. So Portland, I'm pretty sure they're coming off a blowout loss here against the Clippers. But I think it probably starts here with the guard, Shaden Sharp, Simons, and Scoot, I guess, in tournaments. I wasn't really getting to anyone heavily here. Kind of want to hear your take on Portland here, if you got any leans or anything like that.
I'm actually pretty indifferent across the board. Don't really want to play Aiton ever again. At least not until we get some kind of confirmation that he's back in the coach's good graces, because it feels like we're playing a GPP within a GPP. When we're playing Aiden, we have to hope that he plays minutes, and then we have to hope he does well in those minutes. And Houston's a tough matchup, a tough team to target players against. So don't love Aiden, but with that said, he is the only 3% owned on DK and 13% owned on FanDuel, so he's probably still worth more than 3%. I have 2%, so maybe I'll bump that up a little bit to get a little bit more. But it just, what I'm saying is, he's not a guy that I really want to play in a single entry. Not a guy I want any part of my night to depend on if I can help it.
Yeah, he's just been so volatile. I mean, obviously their coach plays a big role in that, though.
Donovan Clingan already got ruled out, and then Denny Avdia was doubtful. We're going to assume he's out. He's not in the model. But Robert Williams is in. He's 3,200 on DK, projected for 16 and a half minutes at 1% ownership. Like, did we not have this exact same conversation 3 times already this season? What is the field doing?
Yeah, I don't know. That's just it's a cheap price point for sure.
16 and a half minutes at 1%. Last time this happened, the dude put up like 40 in 12 minutes.
Yeah, he's a great producer, man. Too cheap.
He played 18 minutes last time. Why are we only projecting him for 16? I understand being conservative, actually. It's probably a good minutes projection. Didn't put up a great score, but this dude, there's no way he comes in 1%. But even if he comes in 4 or 5%, like, it is a large difference from 1%, but he's still such a good, like, if you're willing to take the risk on him just killing a lineup, he's 3,200. He doesn't have to do much, and he's going to be on the court.
Yeah, especially if Aiden gets cut minutes or anything like that. I think that's a great shot there.
Dude, this is insane to me that he's only 1% owned.
Yeah, I mean he's a great producer. I don't hate that shot at 3,200.
Now, I will say the model's not telling us he's a super top value at 3,200, but he is only projected for 16 minutes. So, but just eyeballing it, this is a little bit too light. Power forward eligible too.
Were you getting anything else here with with Jeremy Grant back? I feel like probably hurt Scoot the most. Did you have like a take there with Grant being back?
Yeah, I'm actually not getting any Scoot Henderson. My exposures, single digit DK value. Model's telling us we don't have to play him at all, but he's 0% owned. He's 6K. He's been playing really well. Maybe Chauncey lets him play a little bit more. Maybe he switches up the rotation, even though players are back, things are different. Don't mind getting over that. Yeah, even though it might seem expensive. Again, tough to pay down at point guard on FanDuel, I think, but 0% on DK seems okay, even though the model is telling us no.
Yeah, I love that shot there.
I'm around 10% on Sharp, Simons, Banton. Model's telling us Sharp is the best play out of the three. 9.2 off index is really strong, 14.7 DK and 14.7 FanDuel value. Sharp has got to be one of the top FanDuel values of the day. Yeah, number 2 at 6,300. So the 20% is probably light. I think we want to get over the field on FanDuel for sure.
Yeah, I agree. It's definitely a better FanDuel play. I wasn't really getting to too much Sharp on DK.
Yeah, I'm at 12%. And like I said, I'm pretty neutral there. So, yeah, exactly with the field, I'm comfortable with it. But I actually might try and bump that a little bit since the model's really, really liking him today. I'll mention Tumani Kamara. He's 53, 5,200, last guy in type play, 3%. I know he's the same price as Jeremy Grant. Model's telling us Jeremy's a little bit better, but I'm getting a couple percent of Kamara too.
Yeah, I wasn't really getting too much, but he's cheap. So I get it.
Yeah, mixing in every lineup. It's pretty strong, dude. Must feel pretty good right now. He's probably already in the winning lineup, even if he doesn't play another snap. I mean, I'm just assuming he has like 13 points already, which is probably enough.
And Chiefs Randy has been good all year, so that's probably why he was low owned.
I love it. I'm way over. Oh, Aiden got added to the injury report. It's going to ruin our Robert Williams play.
Yeah, incoming Williams 30% owned.
Yeah, I guess we'll have to see later. If Aiden ends up sitting, then Robert Williams is probably going to be the best play on the slate if you can swap onto him. Duop Reith just has to play minutes, and then Jeremy Grant at 5,200. His ownership should go up, but it probably won't go up enough as it should. People won't have spots to swap left, so that could be a spot to keep in mind. Gobert's good for 25 fantasy points. Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, that's about right. Ooh, just got big news. Oh my lord. Yabu and Paul George both ruled out.
Let's answer T Nasty's question. Best way to use a model when building a lineup? I would just start by looking at top OF index plays. Well, so first, I should think about my answer before I say it. Usually start with value. Sort by value, whichever site you're on. Start plugging in the top values and see what kind of salary that leaves you with. Then sort by OF index and just plug in the studs that fit. Identify some maybe mid-range guys that look really good in the model, like Miles Turner at 6K. It's a little bit cheaper than the guys around him, so he kind of stands out. And then, just go from there. Depending on the size of the contest, consider ownership a little bit more, a little bit less. You have anything to add on to that, Jayhawk?
Yeah, I like to combine just the multiple metrics. So just if they're chalky and have a good model score, you mentioned it, I think they're a good play. Obviously, vice versa. If they have a bad value score, high owned, probably want to be underweight.
Yeah, just like we were talking about how to identify the fades in the model throughout this stream and, all our streams, and then sort by ownership too, and just see if anyone super stands out as being terrible. Like Nas Reed is pulling a lot of ownership, terrible value score. Steph, bad value score, but consider value score a little bit less on the studs since they're a little bit more expensive. So they're usually going to rank out a little bit worse points per dollar.
Yep, agreed.
I didn't think Boston was ready yet because is Jaylen Brown really the second best play of the day?
I mean, I think he's going to look a lot better, but now it's going to be interesting now because with Maxey and Curry, like what people are going to do there.
10.5 point spread. Yeah, we'll take a look at Philadelphia in a couple of minutes, guys. We'll be here for about, 7 more minutes. Is that you? Are you running the Discord today, Jayhawk?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Discord session, we just do another half hour after the stream ends. Just a little bit more intimate setting using the voice chat feature in Discord. Instructions to join that are in the description below. We'd love to have you. Yeah, so Jason Tatum, super top play of the day by OF Index. He was already the top play, but now he's kind of like Jokic is on a lot of slates. Strong values on both sites. Him and Jaylen Brown are great plays. I don't think we want to set any type of rule to do max one. Sometimes that's one of the few rules I'd be interested in on large slates, but today I think we got to allow both in our lineups.
Yep, fantastic matchup for both of them too. Love them both. Probably we'll try to match the field at least with both.
I'm gonna wait to rerun till after the show because I need to redo all my stuff. But I have a feeling I'm gonna have like 70% of Jaylen Brown. I'm gonna have to cap him.
Yeah, I mean that price point is just way too cheap in this spot. No Chris Stapps.
Especially like I mentioned, I'm paying up at point guard on FanDuel. Tatum's projected for that's a pretty decent ownership gap from Brown. That $2,000 is really helpful. And so that might be something where if you're paying up for 2 point guards on FanDuel, you have more combos with Brown. So keep that in mind because the field probably will too. And so if you can find a way to squeeze Tatum in there, then that might be something. Or just pivot off one of those point guards, I guess. Just get more Tatum over on FanDuel.
Yeah, it's just going to be interesting to see what the field does here with Curry now, especially.
Let me see if I can run one real quick. I'm probably going to be way over on Jason Tatum too now that I'm looking at it on FanDuel. DraftKings, I'm not sure. Oh, something just happened in the football game. Waiting for the play-by-play update. This is an interesting slate we got here, Jayhawk.
It's insane. Typical Saturday chaos here.
Typical Saturday chaos. Derek White, 6,300, 6,600. If this is like accurate, and I've refreshed a couple times, it's been a few minutes since the announcements. This is definitely too low compared to his teammates. Derek White hasn't been playing great, but there's something about Kristaps being back in the lineup. Again, I don't have those on-off numbers because I think the ones we were looking at were inefficient, so I'm trying to find a new source. But something tells me this is too low. And models identifying Derek White as a strong play, 9.3 OF index at 6,300. This is a spot we want to be over the field on both sides.
Yeah, he's been shooting bad, but without Kristaps against Atlanta here, that price point is probably like 500 too cheap typically. So I love that shot there with White.
The field's not going to get there.
It's kind of hard to.
Yeah, he's projected pretty poorly, but we haven't projected very well. So I think he's a guy that, I mean, this 12% is blowing my mind right now. He has shooting guard eligibility. It's not hard to fit him in.
Yeah, I probably would go, especially if I'm trying to jam like Maxi and you can't jam both of them. Maybe you could go like Brown and White, maybe instead of Brown and Tatum or something like that.
I'm looking at Drew Holiday. He projects out as a stronger value than Derek White. I mean, Derek White is like the sixth best value on his team, but these numbers are still good. 14 value score. Even Sam Hauser, 12.6 isn't awful, even though he's 3,300. But Drew Holiday, 16.9 DK value, pretty great OF index considering he's under 5K. Luke Cornett, 7.1 OF index at 3,400. He takes up the center spot, but I mean, 20.8 OF or DK value. I mean, he's the top value play of the whole day now.
Yep, agreed. And then I wonder what Kata's going to come in at because, he should get the backup run. But since we have so much other value now with Philly too, it's going to be interesting to see.
We're going to get this starting lineup. It's 3:29 right now. We're going to get the starting lineups for these guys in like 2 minutes. So that's why you should join the Discord, see what Jayhawk thinks once we have that confirmed. If Kata ends up starting, though, I mean, we have him projected for 17 minutes. We have Cornett projected for basically 24. Kata's already showing up as a very strong value. I do think Cornett starts, but Kata, it's actually not 9%. Why is he still pulling 9% ownership? It's decent pivot off Cornett, but I mean, their price is so similar that it's not huge.
Yeah, it just depends on who starts for sure. I agree.
Yeah, I'll have to adjust my stuff. I'm pretty sure it's Cornett, though, and the model's telling us it's definitely Cornett. Maybe we don't want to play both of these guys in the same lineup. Like, they're cheap enough that even if they don't share the court, it's fine, but the fact that they take up both center spots is not fine.
Yep. Should we touch on Philly real quick, and then we can...
Yeah.
Yeah.
So DK value, Eric Gordon looks the same. Kelly, let me just refresh this. And Andre Drummond's in, which is good. So what do we do with Drummond? Because that's going to be the tough one, I think.
I think he's a pretty good play here. Obviously, good matchup. Let's see his price here. He is 5K, so it's pretty good price point. I kind of like him here, but I don't know if he's like a must because we could have Robert Williams at 3.2K later. So
yeah, it's pretty risky to leave those spots open. It's like Robert Williams would look good value. But if we get something to open up here and it's guaranteed, I think we should consider it pretty heavily. I mean, we don't even have Drummond in the model. I'm not sure this is going to update before the end of the stream, fellas. Apologize for that. But again, for the fifth time this stream, instructions to join that Discord are in the description below. Jayhawk will walk us through it. Just first glance, I'm pretty sure we like Kelly Oubre. We still like Tyrese Maxey on both sides. Drummond's probably going to look fine. He's cheap. Eric Gordon is a value play that might go overlooked by the field. Mix in Justin Edwards. And then I saw someone mention Ricky Council in the chat. He's min price. He's been bad. We do like him on the show in general, but just be careful with him. Maybe the model will identify something after it takes Paul George and Yabusele out.
Yep, I agree there with Council.
Anything else you want to mention before we get out of here?
No, I think that's it. I just wanted to cover that for people in here. Real quick.
Did you want to build a quick dummy?
Let's do it. Yeah,
let's build a quick dummy. I've been slacking on that in the show recently, so I'll just sort by ownership. I think we got to play Andrew Wiggins, Luke Cornett, and I kind of just want to put in both Tatum and Brown, but I'm okay just putting one.
No, let's go both. I like them both.
You want to go both? Okay.
Yeah.
Who was the guy? Oh, Cornett, 3,400. Power forward, Jason Tatum. I think if I had to play one though, it would be Brown, and that has to do with price.
Yeah. Real quick, Ricky Council's starting for Philly.
All right, let's throw Ricky Council in the dummy. So whatever I just said about Ricky Council, he's starting. He's still very risky. I don't know the field is going to jump there. Remember, it's Saturday. They don't late swap as much as they should on Saturdays. Dude, this is a tough one.
Too many forwards, man.
How do you even project his minutes today?
It's difficult. Model hasn't accounted for it. I don't know. Maybe what's your thought?
I mean, my first reaction is that I don't know if if the field was jumping to get there, I wouldn't be as interested. But I really don't think the field swaps to him, even though they probably shouldn't be swapping to him that much because he's been bad. There's a lot of opportunity today, though.
Yeah, he's just 3K. That's the only thing that I kind of like him in.
So I'm gonna put him in here, but let's just treat him as kind of a placeholder where just think of him as any other 3K guy.
Yeah.
Because he allows us to fit in those pay up point guards we were talking about. I'm going to throw Steph in here because strong model score, and he's the cheapest one. Leaves us 5,400. Did you have someone in mind here?
No one off the top of my head. Drew Holiday's cheap for guard. I don't know if we have that other guard spot. That might be too much Boston.
Yeah, I don't want four Boston guys, and there's no one on Atlanta I'm dying to run that back with, so I don't mind
Mike Conley.
Not running that back. Mike Conley, thank you.
Let's go that.
Yeah, Mike Conley, 3,400 leaves us 7. Please tell me that's Jalen Green. Just short of Jalen Green, but move something around. I mean, maybe plug in Shaden Sharp, upgrade Ricky Council, one of these other spots, but there's a lot you can do. Council 28 minutes. I don't know. It feels a little bit heavy to project him for 28 minutes, but he definitely could. I mean, it feels like the range is 22 to 37, 36. So model still hasn't updated yet. But like I mentioned, Jayhawk got you guys. Really appreciate you tuning in. All right, it did update, so you guys can get a quick look before the stream ends. Andre Drummond's in here at the bottom. This is still updating. It's going to update the 12 minutes, so just pay attention to that. Ricky Council looks fine. Eric Gordon, even stronger. Kelly Oubre, very strong play. He's going to go under-owned. I think we really want to look at him in the mid-range. And that's about it.
Yep, agreed.
Just real quick, Jose, I got you. Tatum, Maxey, Curry, Young. We're just going to go with the model order here. Tatum, Maxey, Curry, Young. Literally the order that you typed it out in, so nice. Edwards, 4,100, FanDuel. It's a little bit deep. I think we can get to other spots, but if you're running 150 and you get a couple percent, it's fine. Thank you guys for tuning in. We will see you tomorrow.